which one might be best suited to you. So this one is the Slash Epiphone Les Paul Special 2, and this is the upgraded model, if you like, which is significantly different, really, in a lot of ways, which is the Anaconda Burst / Les Paul, which was released fairly recently, and is really the full fat version of this one. So if we let's start at the body end, and we'll work our way up. And then there'll be some sort of secrets and sort of little fun things that we're going to investigate as we go through this video. So this one, if you start off with the body, so you can see this one is really quite a chunky monkey. It is quite a fat beast, which does add to arguably the sustain, the tone, the feel of the instrument quite significantly. Now, this one, on the other hand, is pretty skinny. Now, it does have the impact that the weight is quite different between these two beasts. This one is about 3.8 kilograms, and this one is about 3.3 kilograms. So it is a fairly good difference between the two. If you're standing up for a long time, this is a bit heavier. By Les Paul standards, 3.8 kilograms isn't too bad at all. And you won't find it too bad to stand up with. I mean, on my Fender Stratocaster is 3.6 kilograms, so not a million miles off this. 3.3 though, you'll barely feel it. It's really pretty light. So that's a really good starting point. So if we carry on moving up, you can see 2 volumes, 2 tones on this guitar. On this one, you've only got 1 tone, 1 volume. So it doesn't make a huge difference in practice day to day. You'll still be able to dial in whatever tones you want with this guitar, but it is something to note. You've got the extra facility to really sort of play around here and get it exactly dialed in how you want. The rhythm and treble knob for the pickups, 3-way on both guitars, but I would say this one, you might even be able to see you might be able to see it's got a bit of a jiggle on this one, tiny bit of a jiggle on this one, but this one does feel significantly firmer. This feels a little bit looser. When you're flipping this one, it feels just much more affirmative, which you would expect. It's more expensive. It does feel good on the more expensive model. Talking about the maple tops on this is a maple cap with a maple veneer over it, and it's a mahogany body. This one is a Okami body with a AAA, they're calling it maple veneer. The maple veneer actually on this looks really quite nice. As you can see, it's got a nice kind of flame effect to it. My only issue with this one is it looks nice as well. And obviously they differ guitar to guitar, but this one did flag up a little bit of, in my opinion anyway, I don't know, I'd be interested to know what you think in the comments. I think a little bit of a QC thing where you can see here, I don't know whether it's QC or not, or what it is, but you can see here, this is within the finish. It's a slightly different color here. It's not a big deal. It still looks beautiful. It's fantastic. But it is something to note, QC, handmade, all, slightly different. What I would say is that the maple cap on this and maple veneer, I would say do give this a more sort of full body tone in itself in terms of the tone wood, if you like talking about tone woods, rather than this, which is just the Okami body and the maple veneer. So this coupled with, now the next important point, the humbuckers on this one. These are Epiphone custom probuckers for this. It's not just your normal probuckers. To me, probuckers on a normal Epiphone, they're okay pickups. I'm not going to diss them too strongly, but I don't feel I don't feel passionately about probuckers, shall we say, on a normal Epiphone Les Paul. I think those are the first things that, for me, they end up getting switched out because they're just very, maybe, should we say it kindly, they're a little bit too warm for me, a little bit too bassy. These actually are a kind of a middle ground. They've done some work on these, which just means that they're a bit more gritty. They respond well to a bit more gain, and they're a bit more clear than the normal probuckers. So top marks for that. I would say sticking on this one just briefly, and then I'll move on to this, is that I know this guitar has come into a lot of controversy because of the pickups, because everybody wanted the Slash Alnico ones that, you know, the Seymour Duncan ones in here. And this didn't come with them out of the factory. My one has been modded, so one of the pickups is a Seymour Duncan. I intend to do the other one, the Seymour Duncan as well, because it just, you know, the custom probuckers are fine, but if you really want to get that next level, you need to get the same pickups as Slash has, obviously. But hey, then, you know, if you want to go the full tilt, then you end up getting the Gibson. But I mean, that's another story. So I think the custom probuckers in this are quite good. In this, you've got zebra coils. Now, to me, actually, these are even hotter sounding than these. They haven't got, now this is also a factor of the thickness of the body, the whole guitar in itself. This is a more, I'd say it's an easier guitar to get to a really gritty, high gain level very easily with this guitar, and you're going to be able to get pinch harmonics and all sorts of crazy stuff on this one more easily if that's what you want. But it doesn't have necessarily the same depth and warmth of tone as this guitar because of the body, because of the pickups, various factors. And what I would also mention is the neck. That also makes a difference. This one does have the bolt-on neck. Now that might immediately turn you off, or you might think, I don't really care all that much. From my perspective, I like both. I didn't really care. I'm also a Fender player. I'm pretty agnostic as far as brands are concerned. I don't really care if it's a good instrument, it's a good instrument. And they are both good instruments, I would say, for whatever budget. We'll get more into that later. This one has the set neck, which again, is going to arguably give you more sustain, more tone, all the rest of it. And also, clearly, it is a mahogany body and mahogany neck, whereas this thing, obviously, the Slash Les Paul Special 2 at the cheaper price level, the materials are not, you know, necessarily as high quality as this. You know, you are talking an Okuma body, but it has its advantages being lightweight. And for the high gain settings, you're going to get to that kind of grit and really high gain crunch more quickly with this guitar than you are with this. Now, the scale length is the same on both, so that's not really a big issue. They both have a kind of a slightly glossy back. I'm really pleased to say on both guitars, they're not the sticky glossy back that you can get on some Epiphones, because I really do hate that, and I'm not necessarily a glossy back kind of person at all. I would, in most cases, I prefer a satin finish, but these actually feel really nice on both. And actually, just to mention, this one does have a secret trick up its sleeve, and I will show you that one later. The nut on both is different, as you would expect. The more expensive version, that is a Graphtec nut, so top marks, great. This one I think it's just a plastic nut. It's not anything particularly special on this guitar, so it is what it is. And the other thing to mention on this one, as we go up, is the tuners. They're just die-cast metal tuners. Now I say just, but they are actually pretty decent. I also have just the normal Les Paul Special 2. I've got the white version from a few years ago. And the tuners on that, although it looks the same, the guitar basically looks the same apart from the finish, it is not the same. Trust me, it really is not the same guitar. Again, I've done a review on that, which I'll try to link up in the corner, but the Les Paul Special 2 is not the same guitar as this. This is, to my ears and to how it feels, a significant upgrade to the normal Les Paul Special 2. It is, I would say, if you're thinking about those two guitars, I would really strongly recommend getting this one and just bypassing the Les Paul Special 2. You can get good reviews, you can get a good one, and I've seen some good ones out there, but this really is so much better. It's already got humbuckers in here, which you're not going to want to switch out. These are really good. I think these are the secret weapon of this guitar. So, not to get diverted too much, but the tuners are good. The Les Paul Special 2 tuners, normally not too good. If you're going to do lots of bending, this is going to keep you in tune. This guitar, on the other hand, has the kind of Kluson style kind of classic tuners. They're very good, actually. Again, but you would expect that at the price. You would expect them to be pretty solid, and no matter what you do, it should stay in tune. So you don't, you shouldn't be messing around with this too much. Once you've stretched out the strings and everything, these will stay in tune. And to note, out of the factory, this was very easy to get set up. Both instruments actually are very easy to get set up. Minimal sort of mucking about with the stoptail piece, stoptail bridge, to get any of the intonation sorted or anything like that. They're both actually very easy to set up guitars. Now the secret trick this guitar has, and I'll also come on to the gig bags, because that's a big difference between these two guitars and how they come. This does have the secret little trick. Now to me this is a bit of a gimmick, but it's a bit of fun. You've got the gimmicky sort of tuning thing here, which enables you to get up to tune. You just press this button, it lights up a load of lights, and then you can just tune it until these lights flash green, basically, which is kind of fun. It's not something I ever use. You've got your mobile phone or your DAW or whatever to tune up these days. Having said that, this doesn't have any of that stuff, which is kind of what you would expect, really. I mean, why should it? It's supposed to be a fairly premium instrument. Now, what I do want to show you, which I think personally is a big difference, is what the instruments come in. Oh yes, it is a big difference to me anyway, because I like to store my instruments very carefully indeed. The Slash Les Paul Special 2 only comes in this thing, which is really skinny material. It's great that it comes with a gig bag, don't get me wrong. I think that's super. Not all guitars do come with a gig bag, but it is quite a thin one. I would call this more of a kind of a dust jacket more than anything else. It's not something that you would want to take out with you to a gig or something, because you're going to want to get something a bit upgraded. It is very nice to keep in the house, and as I say, because it's got the Slash symbol on there, it looks really nice, it looks cool, and it's great for just keeping around the house. But I would definitely say, if you're going out, get yourself something a bit more meaty. It does have straps on the back. Again, you can see they're kind of fairly thin, but I mean, it's a decent gig bag. It's okay, it does the job, but for, I would say, in the house. Now, the more premium version is what you would expect. Something rather tasty, actually. This is probably the pièce de résistance. I absolutely freaking love this. This case to me is so beautiful. I love that, the feel of it. It's really kind of velvety. It feels brilliant. Obviously, it's really looking after your guitar when you've got it stored in here, which I love. The padding is mega thick. I don't know, that must be an inch plus of padding right here all around. And it has the pocket in there for storing a few of your gubbins. As you can see, I've sort of stuck a few bits and pieces in there. So yeah, and to be fair, it comes with a few marketing bits and pieces in there, which, it is what it is. You can see there's the old pickup there that I had installed, the previous one. So it's a big step up. So you can see the big differences between the two experiences of the two guitars. There are sort of benefits to both, and I think they're both super guitars, and both justifiably in someone's collection, frankly. They do different things. If you just want to get a really gritty tone and just hammer something out in a hard rock style, this is super. You've got brilliant fret access on both. I know that's something that a Les Paul is often criticised for, not having brilliant fret access at the top. I mean, they're both pretty good, to be honest. I like them. I mean, I like Les Pauls, I like Strats, I like the Super Strats, so I don't have an issue really with any of them, but the upper fret access is good on both. They're both solid guitars. The only difference is really, if you're going to pay full price in a shop, this one is 2 to 3 times as expensive as this one. So that's where the difference comes in, but they both sound cool, and I will also link to some sound demos, etc., because I play loads of these guitars all the time, on my channel. Really enjoy them. So if you like all of that, please do like and subscribe. I'd love to hear what you think about these guitars, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Enjoy. See ya.